And I'd like everyone to come and resume their seats as we're just a couple of minutes away from start time for the Grand Prix CDI 3-star class sponsored by Foresight, the major sponsor for this event. And can I suggest to all of you that are thinking of either starting yourselves on Foresight with EpiJoint, or if your horse or dog is on it, that you visit the Foresight stand because they've got some wonderful specials that you won't get anywhere else. Meantime, it's welcome to our judges for this class. And sitting at E, Francis Verbeek from the Netherlands. At H, Brenda Minor from Canada. At M, Jobina Kennedy from Australia. At B, Thomas Kessler from Germany. And our C judge, soon to be with us, Maria Schwennesen from Australia. And our first horse is due in at, well, actually right now. And that will be Platypus Run Firenze, ridden by Emily James. Yeah. And our spectators, if you can take your seats, our first competitor is just entering the area. And our first competitor, we welcome to the arena Emily James from New South Wales, riding Platypus Run Firenze. Firenze is a gelding by First Piccolo. He was bred by Meredith Hughes and he is owned and ridden by Emily James.
So to the viewers at home, we welcome you back for the afternoon's program. This class is sponsored by Foresight, and they are a wonderful sponsor of this event. So this is the first horse, Emily James and Platypus Run Firenze, and you're watching the Grand Prix CDI 3-star event. So this is an FEI class run under international rules.
A lovely positive start from Firenze. Might be a slightly smaller stature, this horse, but it's got capable length of its stride. And here in the crossing, it's expressive.
It's a bouncy
Yeah.
Expressive horse, isn't it?
Nicely into the halt. Been looking for 5 steps back. A little bit crooked by the look of that. So in all things, straightness counts.
And you can see the reaching of the forearm there. It's got a lot of reach in the trot.
A little bit too free in the first passage. And again, a little bit piaffe in 2 parts, but you can see the intent is quite good.
So this test does get underway and it gets going, and immediately there's lots of transitions.
And a purposeful extended walk. Then this is collected walk, so we're looking for a little heightening. Maybe she could just ride him a little bit straighter in the neck.
And that's directly to passage at M.
Good, this is more like the passage we want to see. And into the piaffe, keep going little guy.
12 to 15 steps.
Yep. Good, keep going. Again, in 2 parts, but you can see she wanted to get more steps, so okay. So there's a mark for the transition at E into canter and all the way around the corner, across the short side until F when you start the diagonal of flying 9-2. So that you want to be cantering well across the short side, so you can keep that mark up. Good job, nice little pat for him.
It's a very neat little horse that has a lot of ability. And I don't know whether I'm slitting, because I am sitting slightly to the right, but it looks possibly like the half pass goes further to the left of that centre line.
Yeah, and there was a counting.
You were counting?
There were the odd 1 or 2 mistakes in counting.
And
oh,
mistake.
Come on, don't not count these. Ah.
And I think those were in 3 parts.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it?
Mm.
Okay, recovery into the pirouettes. Let's hope she can bring the score back up. Just a bit big. First pirouette. Just occasionally when she collects, loses his 3-beat collection. And that she did better on the second one. Good into trot. There's a mark for that, remember. And it's such a lovely extended trot. Uphill, engaged. Small guy, working well. A little bit more lift needed in the passage as it comes towards us. Oh, come on, don't be naughty. Oh, no, don't be naughty. No, come on. Come. So, centre line issues they used to happen a lot. I always think that these days you don't see them anywhere near as much as we used to think we saw them. But, she made sure of it. So that'll be quite hard for them to mark. You can't mark 2 attempts. So, yeah, she's getting some very low marks there for the resistance and then not really doing it. And that's a real shame because there's lots to like about that before that.
The next horse circling the area is bridle number 66, MSJ Gatsby. And Gatsby is a gelding by Grey Flannel and ridden today by John Thompson from New South Wales. The bell has rung, and you have the timer in the top right-hand corner of your screen that indicates the amount of time left for John and MSJ Gatsby to enter the arena.
Lovely straight entry towards our judge at sea, Maria Schwennesen. Nice positive departure. This horse did the Inter 2 yesterday and I think placed second. I think that's right.
I think you are correct. And you can see, those of you at home, when Jill's talking about the horse with an uphill tendency, this horse definitely has its pole as the highest point. It's quite obvious that it has an uphill way of going. Maybe that changeover could have been a little smoother.
It perhaps could have.
Dramatic.
Yes. And a little bit behind, tight in the neck, if you like, behind the vertical in the reinback. The reinback is something that it's difficult, and it's a test of obedience, and it does actually usually show up some issues for many people in there as they go along. Horses all powering along, and then it's expected to stop and go backwards pretty. At the early part
that was
of the
a shame. It went quite well into that.
Yeah. He heard me talking about the stop. So, again, makes it difficult for the judges. The transition mark clearly has to be very low. And then you have to look at what little or otherwise piaffe it did. So, spoiling it. And here the walk, not free in its the reach in its front leg, so it's a little short looking walk.
Being a bit shy in the walk.
So you can see, again, in many parts and stopping, but the horse looking up at either the crowd or the horses moving. And it is very new at this level, very, very new at this level. I think its first start in Grand Prix
And
was
it's quite
literally only a few weeks ago.
And it's quite a young horse too. It's a young horse at the highest level, so very tactfully ridden by John. He took his time, he patted the horse, he just nursed it through that little difficult stutter, as I call them, and away goes. John always paints a very polished, tidy picture, and the horses are always beautifully presented from the team at Mullawa. I'm relying on you to do the counting, Jill. Did we do good counting?
We did actually do quite good counting. The last half pass, we could see he was running out of room, so he had to ride not quite the same canter as he had at the earlier ones, but nevertheless he achieved the count, so that was good.
Count was good. The first part of it was symmetrical either side of the centre line, so I could say that that was well done. Just, yeah, maybe that last little bit of it. A very good start on the centre line. It was very straight, and then possibly a little bit spinning around in the pirouette rather than sitting and cantering around. Did you say the second one was better?
No, because I didn't like the beat behind on the second one. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Probably the same score for both of them for different reasons. The judges have agreed with you, Jill.
Yes. So we can hope for him that he can ride forwards into the piaffe this time. And yeah, oh no, come, oh dear. So repeated 3 times. This time he's got a little bit more
Momentum he started.
after the piaffe,
Yeah.
well, after the first stop, Anyway, the judges will have to
Do the same thing, possibly.
well, even maybe be even tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's saying good boy, and he's looking, as we would all expect to look, somewhat disappointed.
But definitely shows a lot of ability. Just some of those baby issues that they need to be sorted.
We welcome our next horse into the area, Hollands Bend Highlander, ridden by Jodie Dunstan from Gindera near Albury, New South Wales. Hollands Bend Highlander is a gelding by His Highness, bred by Jane Bartram and owned and trained by Jodie Dunstan. So we started out with the little one, and now we have the really tall one. Highlander and Jodie, they've been together, well, they've been together for from the get-go. Jodie's produced this horse, and this would be maybe its second year at this level, as in the CDI level. So developing into a nice and getting some good results in Grand Prix.
Big horses definitely fill the whole arena, don't they? It's got very long legs.
Nicely performed, both the halt and the reinback. Here, of course, I want the hind legs to step more underneath the body of the horse for an extended trot, so it's a little bit too much going up in the air and not forward across the ground. But here, of course, that's what we'd like it to do, is go up in the air, and is quite a springy bloke, into a very nice looking piaffe. Travelling a little bit, but that's a better intent to have than not travelling.
And the transition
or going backwards.
The transition in was well performed.
Yes.
Just need to take care of that walk.
Yeah, so the V that I've talked about, just in case you haven't been paying attention, the hind leg and the foreleg on the same side in the walk should look like they make a V when the 2 feet are near each other. And if they don't, it's known as a lateral walk, or the other analogy would be walks like a camel. So I'm not saying he walks like a camel, but that's it. So you know what the picture looks like, whereas this looks like piaffe.
Very easy.
Knees up.
Yeah.
And hind feet lifting. It was a good job.
And I would say, I'm not a judge, but I would say that would be higher marks than the previous attempt for the passage. Let's see. That was the line blurred in the transition.
Yeah, they probably weren't as generous as I might have wanted them
one
to
gave
be.
them a 7.
Yeah, I would have thought it was an easy 7.
I would have given it a 7.
So I wasn't counting, so
Yeah,
I now can't comment.
No.
All of you at home, you were counting. You know how many she did.
That could cover more ground.
Yeah, so he's a big, tall horse, but he isn't very actually expansive in his ground cover. He is an airy horse. He's an up and down horse. He's got plenty of spring up and down, and that works for passage and piaffe
For the collection,
particularly, and
yeah.
it probably will work in the canter pirouette. But in extended paces, you kind of feel like you'd like him to
Open up
and take a longer stride.
Well, the flying changes must have been okay because three
Okay.
judges gave it 7. So
Good. 1, 2. Well, there were 15. They were a little short behind, especially in one to right to left. So they probably can't score a big mark, but she did achieve them. Although, again, some disagreement, some judges see something more than others, so we have got a little bit of a range of marks for those.
trending on about 63.7 currently. Across the board, 7s for the flying change between the pirouettes. It does look very good coming towards us.
It does, yep. And you have to remember you can't have imaginitis when you're judging. You just judge what you see. So for the C judge, she sees the frame and the knees up.
And the straightness.
And the straightness and the regularity. But the judge on the side can see whether the hind legs are behind, what they're doing. So everyone judges what they see, not what they think they could be seeing.
And the crowd seemed to like that one.
They did, and she's moving, the score's going up, so it might get 64.5 or so.
Which will have
Which
her
will put
count
her in
the
first,
lead.
for
Yeah.
sure, at this point. But our next competitor is on the way, and she's an experienced one.
So she might give her a little nudge.
I think she can, generally speaking, she could achieve a better score than 64, generally speaking, but maybe not in the environment today. We'll see. Our next competitor in the Foresight CDI 3-star Grand Prix test is Sue Hearn from New South Wales, just up in the Southern Highlands, riding Eminent. Eminent is a gelding by Santano and is owned by Sue Hearn. So Sue Hearn and Eminent Making a strong start, expressive extended trot. A little bit lack of balance coming into the start of the half pass to the right. So quite nice crossing, but I think it needs its hind legs more underneath it for a more uphill appearance in the half passes. Balanced halt, but a little hurried on the backwards. Again, hind legs more underneath in the extended trot. Whereas it can put them under in its passage. And then into the piaffe, where it gets a little hollow in the piaffe. Pretty direct into passage. There at M. So, as I said before, hollow, but perhaps I could say its front legs tend to creep away from it in the piaffe, but we like the level of activity, the fact that it keeps going.
Quite willing.
Yeah.
And the transitions are all very clear, like at M, it really went directly to passage from the walk.
So we're going to have some issues here in the 2 times. Oh dear. Okay, so it doesn't... Yeah. Anyway, 2s, 1s, unwillingness. It's always a surprise because it doesn't not look willing.
We just said that he was
willing, yeah.
and maybe we jinxed him. But onwards.
I'm sure he's not listening to us.
No.
And there was my flying change not on the diagonal. It was, as again I've mentioned before, but when you're on a diagonal line and you're supposed to do the transition and the flying change towards the marker, not parallel with the marker. Whereas everything else that you do is as the rider's body passes the marker. Just not on diagonals. So it's his thing is, I can do 1s and I'm not prepared to do 2s, at least not today. So well done on the 1s. a little bit spinning. So one of the things about pirouettes is you control the speed of the turn, which is the shoulders around the inside hind leg. And so that one, the first one, had more of a hint of spin. So we're not trying to do a roll back, a quarter horse roll back. It's a measured canter stride, of which there are 6 to 8 in a full pirouette. And that was a bit more engaged in the extended trot than the earlier ones. And this is an impressive passage coming towards us. Little weeny bit swaying, but still pretty good. So front on, should be able to give her that a happy mark. Into the piaffe, again, front on, should be able to give it a good mark. And happily, I have seen some higher marks. Good. But overall, probably scoring just under 64. Perhaps she won't push Jodie aside, who got 64.196. Our next competitor, circling the arena, we welcome Mary Hannah from Victoria, riding Ivanhoe 1. Ivanhoe is a gelding by Desperado. He's owned by Mary Hannah, trained by Mary Hannah. Currently in the lead, we have Jodie Dunstan on Hollands Bend Highlander on 64.196. So one of the horses that we've been interested to see and look forward to seeing, and this is her last competition before she heads overseas for the World Cup final, which is in April. So it's a good hit out for her.
And where is the World Cup final this year?
Oh, I thought that I knew that. Is it in Gothenburg? No, it's left my head. But we can no doubt Google it and find out. So Mary, Ivanhoe, lovely, fluid, accomplished. He knows his job here. Mary, of course, we know her. She knows her job. For those of you that don't know, Mary is a 6-time Olympian. I think I'm right on that number. Anyway, more times than anyone else, that's for sure.
And countless
other big competitions.
Yeah, Grand Prix, horses. And I have to say that I think Ivanhoe's my favourite one that she's had. I think they just look so good together.
So nicely into passage there at V, very clearly. Here, you're not wondering if it's passage. It is passage into the piaffe. Good carriage. Very measured steps. A little bit down onto the front legs into that walk. That is a transition from passage into extended walk. And I've had a helpful comment from Amelie May Hines telling me that it's in Switzerland, the World Cup final. Thank you. That's just what we need. We haven't got time to look at Google right now.
No, we can't take our eyes off the beautiful Ivanhoe.
No, exactly.
And Mary.
And she's ticking along. She's on 68. Be a little under what she'd be hopeful of. It is getting some 8s for its passage. And here in the piaffe, nice activity. Again, just a little bit tighten the back, perhaps, I'd be saying. And nicely straight into canter. Remember, canter goes all the way around from E to the F, so all through the short side. So here we look at it. Yep.
And when I was talking yesterday, you can really see in the canter there that his hind leg really does canter under the centre of his body. So he's really through in the canter. And you can see here in the two-time changes, it really affects the quality and the uphill tendency of the changes when that hind leg really does step underneath, he does step underneath Mary's foot. And that's really what you want to see, that hind leg is actually doing its job.
Yeah, Mary's actually really riding the horse very positively in everything, and that was a lovely extended canter. The two times were, for me, lovely, very straight, very easy. I still think some of the judges are... there was an 8 for that extended canter, and I'm sure it deserved that. Got to reward the good, and you've got to be strict on the bad. So 1 times, here we go.
$15.
15. Yep.
Well done. I mean, I've said it more recently that I just think Mary gets better and better. And so, it's a sport that we all continue, hopefully, to get better at. A little stutter.
That was a stutter. And that was another stutter. So, come on, Mary, regroup. So he's just taken over in both those pirouettes. The first one, just spinning and then losing the canter. The second one, spinning but maintaining a bit more the canter with a change mistake before that. So costly, can we just say? The mark is that's very costly. Pirouette's worth 2 times the amount, and that's a mistake in each, plus the change.
Expensive.
Kept the rhythm well in the piaffe. Might have stopped a little ahead of Mary. So, a good test, lots to like, some errors which she will be very analytical over and working out what she needs to do to change those. She does not want to have those sorts of mistakes when she goes to the World Cup. And so that's the point of the exercise for her today, is to come and put the horse under some pressure, have a crowd, and see what she needs to tweak when she's in the next few weeks. The World Cup sometime in April, and she's probably flying out in the next week or so. So it looks like she'll score 68 or so percent, putting her into the lead. And we have one more before a break. And the next competitor to come into the Grand Prix CDI 3-star, sponsored by Foresight, is Susan Elikassi from New South Wales. Susan is riding Callum Park Geneva, a mare by Argentile Grenadier. She bred the horse that she's riding. She's trained the horse to this point, and we wish her good luck.
So, we talk about the breeding, we talk about lots of things here in our little commentary box. And this is a very famous mare that Susan uses, Callum Park Regardless, and she has produced a lot of foals that have been FEI competitors. It's not only the dad that's important, it's equally important to have good mares.
Yes, and she's used the mare, but she has actually used different stallions most of the time. Most of the siblings have a different dad. I can't think of one that's... There was a Dempsey, there's an F-line that's named Falsterbo.
And they're all a bit different, aren't they?
This one's a Grenadier, yeah, completely different.
But all performers.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps that shows her sensible selling program where she's sold them to people for them to go on with. Five neat steps back.
Oh, you've got me into counting everything now, Jill.
Well, we know we can count 5. We can probably manage 9. We do get a bit lost, I think, sometimes.
I think I get distracted. I think I've got that ADHD where I can't concentrate for very long.
Okay, so not super established passage there, and then lost the energy into the piaffe. Wants to sit, wants to keep doing it, but just too much travelling forwards. Here in the extended walk, of course, we want its nose to poke more forwards So it takes the bridle forwards for a better stretch, over track.
Not too bad.
No, not too bad. And then there should be a change in the frame of the horse from the extended walk, which was stretched out and down, into a high raised pole, proud, short steps.
So they could see there in the collected walk there were some rhythm mistakes, which affects the marks. And that's quite a difficult transition there from the passage to the canter. Quite a lot of horses, you know, can get a confused signal there.
So for a higher mark in the half pass zigzag, more uphill and more bend through the body of the horse in either direction. Got the ones.
Good on the centre line. I was going to say good preparation and then maybe just lost a little bit of quality in the pirouette. A little bit ground bound with the hind legs in the pirouette. Like to see canter, a complete stride behind. But Susan is doing everything in her toolbox to get this mare through the test successfully without mistakes, and she's a very experienced competitor that will definitely have had a plan on what she was going to do in here today.
We have it. She halts well at the end. She's going to score just along the 60% mark. And just a word to those at home. We've been advised of a late scratching, something we probably all were looking forward to. We're seeing Jaden Brown and Quincy B, but that's a late scratching. So there's now a gap until 201, where we see Alinta Veenlevit and Desperanza. Mary will be in front on 68.522. And so there is a short break now till 2:01. Unfortunately, the first horse out, Jaden Brown and Quincy B, have been are late scratching. So we'll resume again at 2:01 with Desperanza and Alinta Veenlevit. Meanwhile, the standings are Mary Hannah, riding Ivanhoe, scored 68.522 to put her into the first position currently. In second place, Jodie Dunstan and Hollands Bend Highlander on 64.196. In third, Sue Hearn and Eminent on 63.5. In fourth, Emily James and Platypus Run Ferenz on 56.891, and in fifth, John Thompson, MSJ Gatsby, 55.761. We're still waiting on a score for Susan Elakesi, and I think I have it. There it is, 59.956, putting her into fourth place currently. So back you come at 2 o'clock, ready for Alinta at 2:01.
Shepherd are proudly powering Willinga Park through holistic electrical solutions. Our experienced team are here to assist with all facets of your electrical needs and can design, build, commission and maintain your electrical assets. From low voltage, high voltage, critical supplies and even off-grid installations, we ensure that when you need reliable power, you can rely on Shepherds. Let's get connected.
Foresight doesn't discriminate in terms of joint health. So whether you want to prevent it or whether you want to treat it, Foresight will do that for you. We want as many animals around the world to benefit from this exceptional product. So whether it's horses performing at the highest level, or the family pet, or a young dog or a young animal going through those growth phases, they can all benefit from the use of Foresight and Epitalis.
So in the Epitalis study, we found a significant lowering of PGE2 in the synovial fluid, marked radiographic changes, as well as a significant reduction in white cell counts. Using the scientific term, it's a disease-modifying osteoarthritic drug. We'd never seen it in any other study that it was that dramatic.
To learn more and find products, visit foresight.global.
The hospital at Willinga Park is a state-of-the-art building, not only when it comes to facilities and the equipment inside, but I think also from an aesthetic point of view. We've been very fortunate that with Terry's backing, we've been able to build this absolutely amazing facility. This hospital is built as a referral hospital. What we're hoping to do is cater for all cases, if it is critical care, out of hours, where we can sort of provide the best possible care and service for those horses. Obviously, Willinga Park offers some amazing facilities for the different horse disciplines, and I think through the years we realized that to complete the circle we needed a hospital facility as well, so we could cater and make sure that we had all bases covered. I think we're in a part of the world where there is a need for a referral hospital. Often when horses have problems, time is of the essence, so we're filling a real niche here by providing that service. We have got a number of clients coming as far as the north of Rockhampton or from the south of Victoria, so it's a very varied group of clients that will be able to offer that service. One of the things we're very excited about is the arrival of our MRI machine. It's not a standing MRI machine, which a number of places in Australia already have. This is a G-scan, which is a very large and advanced MRI system, which will allow us to do some very extensive imaging, not only from the foot and the lower limbs, but also including the stifle in the hind limbs, including the elbow in the forelimb. And it will also allow us to take imaging of the head and the neck. Another thing we're super excited about is our IVF lab. In the last few years, we've spent a lot of time perfecting our ability to be able to produce embryos in the lab. We're now at a stage where we can do this commercially with a lot of confidence. We can not only harvest the eggs, but we've got the lab at Willinga where we can then mature the eggs to a stage where we can inject them with a single stallion sperm and then put them in the incubators and grow them out to viable embryos. We can do a direct transfer, or we can also freeze them, and we've spent a lot of time perfecting all those different steps. It's a very complex thing to iron out, but feel very confident now that we can offer this to any horse breeder in Australia. Now the hospital is sort of nearing completion. I think we feel we're in a very good position to provide equine excellence to all horse breeders and all horses.
and welcome back to the second block of horses here at Dressage by the Sea for the 4-site Grand Prix CDI 3-star. The first horse after the break is circling the area, and it is Desperanza, and Desperanza is ridden by Adlinta van Liet. So we welcome you back if you're tuning in at home. And we have a few horses to go in this second block of the CDI 3-star Grand Prix test here at Dressage by the Sea, and this class is sponsored by Foresight.
Now, if you've got any friends who are down here, you can get them to whip across to the Foresight store and get some specials. Quite good specials. That's if you're either taking Foresight for yourself or your horse or your dog. There are some show specials.
So this horse showing good positioning, good crossover.
Yeah, lovely, has a lovely
expression
through the half passes for sure. And more recently, this horse had a few starts with Robbie McKinnon, and which included, I think, the Equitana and the World Cup down in Victoria at the end of last year. But Alinta is back on board. She's always been the rider up until that point. And she's going along in a lovely way, and if she could maintain that, she'd give the class a surprise. Good. Just look, great lift in front. Just doesn't always do the same thing behind, plus not always the same height behind in the piaffe.
Interesting walk. Got a very big front leg. Almost looks a bit Spanish walk in the collected walk. It's really got a definite way of placing its foot on the ground. Directly into the passage.
Lovely passage. Come on, back legs.
Yeah.
Come on.
And when I see that, I just think that the horse could actually sort of do a tummy crunch and get its back up a little bit more so that the hind legs have the capability of lifting off the ground in the passage. It does require quite a lot of strength from the horse to have an active hind leg. Like doing a sit-up for a person. Got to engage their core.
Oh dear.
And that will be expensive from travelling along on quite a nice score to start the test. Yeah. And any mistake at this level, if you want to win, it's probably no room for a mistake.
Okay, now she needs to keep the quality of this canter in the extended into the collected canter.
So I would say more flow for that one. That would be my... And you would say something much more technical, wouldn't you, Jill?
My technicality would be more 3-beat. That would be my comment. But flow, it's not a bad word. We like it. It's very descriptive. The same applies here in the canter pirouette, where you're not super sure that it's a united canter. It gets very slow. That one's a bit better.
Yeah, and the first one I saw the problem actually in the preparation. It was the first stride into it. It did a stutter moment. It didn't continue through the collection. It wasn't through the body, and probably that's why the problem in the pirouette happened. It was probably, in the preparation, which quite often is the case. It's how you set up for a movement. Do you collect for too long, or do you collect too much and then lose the quality of the paces? But it is a very spectacular horse with a lovely way of going.
Keep going.
So trending on a score at about 62. We'll just wait for the final tally to be made. And that probably currently would put her in about 4th position. Some costly mistakes. But the first part, she had actually started off in the lead.
Our next entrant in the Foresight Grand Prix CDI 3-star class is Jessica Clark from New South Wales, riding Remember Me. Remember Me is a gelding by Regardez-moi, and it's owned by Jodie Clark. A reminder that our horse out in front currently is Mary Hannah riding Ivanhoe on 68.522.
another big one by Regard à Moi.
Indeed, I think there's 2 in this class by Regard à Moi.
And for those of you who don't know Regard à Moi, he was a horse ridden by Heath Ryan to great success. He was an Australian champion and international competitor numerous times. And
prolific sire of horses, of which, as I say, we've got at least 2 in this class. Losing the bend somewhat to the left. A little bit falling sidewards, that last bit of that half pass. And a little bit taking over by Remember Me in the reinback.
Quite often it's a movement that the riders overlook to practice is the halt and the reinback. I'm sure some do, but it's marks there to be gained if you can nail it. Not a difficult movement.
So a little bit modest, the passage to start, and then piaffe, the frame, a little bit too short in the neck, and some hesitancy in maintaining the rhythm throughout. Here again, nose more forward is what we need, and a more steady, constant striding walk. Mostly okay in the collected walk. And again, piaffe, quite the diagonal beat was there, but the willingness to keep it going, it had Jessica a little worried. So she was quite active, and maybe she could have trusted him a little more. Maybe not. So she's achieving the 1 times and the 2 times, but with some swinging. And I think he kind of caught himself on that one. expressive. It's got some power, this horse, and so a nice way of covering the ground. Throughout the test, there are some frame or mouth issues that are costing her quite a few marks. She says, I think it's time to stop. She's managed to keep going. It's a little bit crooked. And she'll score somewhere in the 58 mark. And we have 4 more left. And after the CDI class, we go to another I class. We go to the young riders, or the under 25s, intermediate 2, which is a FEI class. So this, we have we welcome to the arena Jackson Stern from Victoria, riding Templeton First De Niro. First De Niro is a gelding. He's by Fursten Reich. He's bred by Templeton Warmbloods, and he's owned by Jackson Stern, who is riding him today.
Sitting, and when you're used to moving all the time,
It's stiffening up. So it needs a bit more position in this half pass right. And again, probably in the left one as well. It is tricky because, you know, they are supposed to lead with the shoulder, but if you are trailing too much, the crossing, it just doesn't come off as well. But there is some criticism in judges saying it has to be parallel because then you lose the freedom of the shoulder. So more parallel is my comment. Okay, sort of a blurred transition from passage into piaffe, which could have had a few more steps. Needs more elastic or expressive strides in the passage. And I certainly want a bit more activity in the collected walk.
I think my chair's had a bit of a workout here today. I keep riding every stride with them.
Yeah. Of course, easy to sit on the sidelines and say you could do this, but not being the one sitting there.
It's quite different.
Quite different. So on he goes into canter.
Good with the sequence. You could take more of a risk there for a higher mark.
Yeah, that would be a repetitive comment in general, wouldn't it?
Go for it.
Go for it a bit more in the extended canter. Okay, again, achieve the sequence of, or the counting, but the half passes themselves need more sidewards jump for a higher mark.
And so the suppleness through the horse's body, you know, that would be one thing that I would be probably working on, is making him a little bit more supple and a bit more around the rider's inside leg. Keep cantering.
Mm-hmm. And in the pirouettes, it's just against the bridle a little bit. Loses some roundness and then also loses the impulsion.
And so when we talk about going for it, it's not actually going for it with speed, it's actually going for it with a larger, more ground covering stride, which actually propels from the hind leg. It's losing some straightness here coming towards us on the centre line.
And Jackson trending around the 54, 55 mark.
It's going to probably put him in around 9th position currently with 3 horses to go.
And our next competitor in the Grand Prix CDI 3-star is Justine Greer from Victoria. Justine's riding Fonzie 2, a gelding by Firestone, and Justine is the owner of the horse.
We welcome you back and hope you're enjoying the live streaming brought to you by Foresight Dressage by the Sea, CDI 2025. We are on the last 3 horses for this Grand Prix CDI 3-star event. And we have Fonzie 2 and Justine Greer from Victoria in the ring currently. And we were just saying that Justine, quite an experienced competitor, should be able to give the top ones a bit of a rattle if everything goes her way. So we're wishing her the best, because we'd like to see those marks jump a little bit up, wouldn't we?
We would indeed. Come, Fonzie. Yep.
And you can see the diagonal pairs in his rein back, which is what you want to see. And away she goes off on the diagonal line.
So the transition between the passage and the piaffe, blurred.
Too progressive.
Too progressive, and then in the piaffe, it has the some activity, which is nice, but more sitting, so that it looks more uphill in front and lower behind. I mean, that's what sitting is, but, you've got to kind of get the impression that the horse is going up a hill.
And I'd like to see them take more of a risk from that trot on the diagonal at V. I'd like to see passage rather than that transition being aggressive also.
That's right. It's
for a high mark.
Yes, that's right.
And that's another risk, isn't it? You take the risk that you're going to ask the horse to passage at a marker.
Yep. Yep.
But for a really high score, you need to be doing less of those progressive. And yes, on the younger horses, we want to encourage them to get through the test and all that sort of stuff. But, if you're going to take a risk they're in the transitions, you probably need to ask for the transition at the markers. Prepare for them. I suppose set your expectation a little higher.
Yes.
Of the horse.
Of the horse, that's right.
And there we
Yeah,
go.
good.
Now she's picking
And
up what
she
I'm
should
putting
go
down.
Collect, and
Change.
change. So again, could have been a bit crisper in the collection.
And better in the contact.
Getting flat in the canter and not changing when she asks. So
Yeah.
unhappily a bit of a mess through that. But go on, I say, go on. Go on, ride the ones.
And 15 ones.
Good.
And Justine Greer and Fonzie coming to the completion of their test.
And probably not the score that Justine or us were hoping for. And I think Christine's comment about transitions always bears repetition. We get encouraged to do transitions in our training and whatever level we're at. And most of us know that we don't do enough of them. And in fact, more transitions for all these horses between the passage and the piaffe, not staying in any movement for so long, but actually developing the change between things makes horses stronger.
And the other observation is I think we should try to get away from just riding the sequence of movements.
Yes.
We need to ride them with more quality.
Yes, exactly.
More positioning, more posture, more of the quality of the actual pace, incorporating that into the sequence rather than just riding the movements.
Or riding the test.
Yeah. Because riding the test is just one part of it.
Yeah.
The quality of the paces.
Okay, our next horse coming into the arena is BZ Raphael, ridden by Brianna Tulitsky from New South Wales. Raphael is a gelding by Regardez-moi, owned by Brianna, and today, of course, ridden by Brianna Tulitsky.
So this is our second Regardez-moi for this competition. So we had two of them in here. And this one is out of a mare, Gillian R. And I presume Gillian R is by Jive Magic, so very much influenced by Heath and Rosie's breeding program, extensive breeding program that they've had for a very long time.
Certainly both the Regano Myers have been, well, they've both been dark or black. Impressive, good-looking horses, athletic. And Raphael has got the expression to get good scores. And here we see the Passage with some nice lift in front into the piaffe fairly confidently and definitely on the spot. Keep the back legs coming in the Passage. Nicely up to the marker at P. So one of that better tours through at the beginning of piaffe Passage, Passage, piaffe, Passage. And then we want this walk. I don't think they've been listening to me on the live stream.
Probably not.
Probably sick of it. But what do we want? We want purpose, stretch, ground cover. And now, and regularity, of course. Okay, so she's got the regularity in the collective walk, still wanting more activity into the Passage. Good, and again, it's obviously is Passage. Hind legs are more under its body this time. It's good. And here we want to keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, more or less did keep going. Oh, I was almost going to say that's what I want to see, but then I just didn't see enough collecting before the change. I did like the extension, but it was a bit of a fade away down into the change instead of a crisp change, a crisp transition.
Yeah, your blurred line again.
Yeah.
But she definitely had a go in the extender, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
So some positive riding here by Bree. I know she's had a few little eventing starts of recent, so that's probably helped her.
That probably has. In fact, you're right. I have actually seen her out on the eventing courses, and both pirouettes coming off quite nicely. So she's keeping the marks coming along, and the judges are starting to feel they can reward her.
But she's really has kept the flow and that forward tendency. I don't look at it and feel like I want to
except for the extended walk is the only one I... And again, that could be a bit of eventing, because often if you're on an eventer...
They want to jog.
They want to jog, so you've got to be very cautious, or can be very cautious.
And this looks lovely coming towards us.
That would Peter be piaffe on the spot from here, so you'd have to mark it well if you're Maria sitting at sea.
And a good job. Well, it's not over till she halts, is it? But she's got to be pleased with it.
Yeah. And we too are pleased for her to see the marks improve.
And it's just nice to see that positive way of going.
So she might get over the 65. It's a possibility.
With a general impression.
And if she does, she will be up into second place, I think. And our final competitor in the Grand Prix CDI3 start is Rosie Ryan from New South Wales, riding Bronze Boy R. Bronze Boy R is a gelding by Byerly Breyer, owned by Heath Ryan, and today ridden by Rosie Ryan.
So very nice of Heath Ryan as the owner to let his wife ride the Grand Prix horse. I think if my husband had a Grand Prix horse, he wouldn't have a choice. I'd be riding it as well.
Well, Rosie could only do the horse justice, that's for sure. And Heath is a wise man to allow Rosie to ride, because
it looks good.
It looks great. And most of you probably know the story of this horse. It was certainly Heath's four-star eventer for any number of years, and then...
and he was also doing Grand Prix dressage at the same time.
Yes, he was.
Heath was riding him.
But with Heath rising, so now it's become Rosie's ride.
Look at that. Square halt.
So we have passage and into piaffe, quite a good transition between the two. Then in the piaffe, gets a bit spread out with its legs, instead of keeping them more underneath. but quite rhythmical in both movements.
I don't think this. I think this would. Rossie's quite good at turning the eventers into dressage superstars. I think Bullwinkle, horse that she was the reserve at for London Olympics, was also a eventer before she got him for Olivia Bunn. And I think even old Sterling Wilton may have started his life as an eventer, but I don't think he was very good.
He probably did. That's right. Again, Rossie's had plenty of experience at producing Grand Prix horses. And she's keeping him on his job in a good frame.
And Rossie's really good at getting any extra mark that she can get.
And I would say that this horse is a competitor. After all his years of experience doing his job, he isn't going to let her down with...
Don't speak too soon.
No, but he's not. I'm sure he's not.
I actually don't think he's got a choice with Rosie riding him.
Well, she isn't going to let him down either.
No.
So then the bonuses. Got a little fright from something there. An expressive and ground covering extended trot. Often that's the third one you've done, and often for horses after they've cantered do that better than the earlier ones.
Well, they've just let go and relaxed a bit, haven't they, as they've worked their way through the test.
Yeah.
Rosie looks very pleased with him.
Yeah, so she'll go into third or fourth position, I think. Maybe fourth position. And that will conclude the class. We will get the whole results in very quickly to you. And just to let you know that the next class starts at 3:30, which is the under 25s intermediate 2.
So about half an hour.
Yep,
Over half hour.
25 minutes.
Yep.
So we'll see you at home back then.
Shepherd are proudly powering Willinga Park through holistic electrical solutions. Our experienced team are here to assist with all facets of your electrical needs and can design, build, commission and maintain your electrical assets. From low voltage, high voltage, critical supplies and even off-grid installations, we ensure that when you need reliable power, you can rely on Shepherds. Let's get connected.
So I believe I have the final results for this class. In first place, Mary Hannah, riding Ivanhoe 1 on 68.522%. In second place, Brianna Tulitsky on BZ Rafael on 64.848. In third place, Jodie Dunstan on Hollands Bend Highlander on 64.196. In fourth place, Sue Hearn riding Eminent on 63.5%. In fifth, Rosie Ryan on Bronze Boy R on 62.609. And in sixth, Alinta Vinelvit on Desperanza on 62.456. So the next class is due to start at 3:30. That will be the intermediate to under 25 class. And we look forward to seeing you back here then, or go and have a look in the other arenas to see other horses doing dressage, or go for a walk, or go and visit the trade stands. Lots of lovely things to buy.